Welcome to the ObstacleDominator.com podcast featuring Benny Gifford and Brakken Crocker. Whether you want to dominate your next obstacle race or just get started in obstacle racing, you're about to discover every tactic you need to know, from gear to training to nutrition. Get the latest tips from the trenches, get your questions answered, and show up at your next obstacle race ready to dominate. And now, here's Beni and Brakken.
Episode 14 of Obstacle Dominator begins right now. Benny, we had a good guest on today, didn't we?
We did. That was my first time meeting him. He's a cool guy.
I didn't realize you guys had never met. Now, today we have on Johnny Luna Lima, and it seems like the ultimate bandwagon move. But we tried having this interview last week, and we just couldn't line up our schedules. So we would have looked like such rock stars. Johnny, you're on. Tell us how you're going to do. We think big things are happening for you. And then suddenly he goes out and wins the races. We look like we just predicted the future here, but instead now we're just getting there after the fact, talking about his race, some of his training, the way he fueled for the competition, footwear choice, mindset, all that good stuff.
It was good. I didn't know he used to be a soccer player. Dude, every time this happens and we have a guest on who is kicking ass at these races and they tell me that, oh, I just started actually training for running a few years ago. I'm like, what the fuck? Sorry for the F word, folks, but that's ridiculous. Like, I was active my whole life and I played soccer and blah, 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 blah. But these people like, Leanne did college sports, right? But was she running? She was running in college.
Yeah.
But she showed up in college and started running in college without a huge running background. So people like this always blow my mind. They're genetic specimens, the people who put in the hard work, and it's clear he's put in a great foundation with all the soccer he did.
And it goes to show that, like, you can't hide talent forever. Like, you find out real early, like, are you a prodigy or not? Like, are you one of the special ones? Because even off minimal training, the special ones do something, noteworthy. And then people realize, oh man, if this person gets something under their belt, they're going to be dangerous. And Johnny was always that person. He had a lot of the skills in place, and people knew that if and when the fitness, years of fitness started building up, he has a chance that he could be one of those names in the sport. And I think that this weekend cemented his name.
Right. And just to reiterate what Brakken said, we didn't Matt B. Davis this whole thing. We called it from the beginning. We just couldn't execute the interview. So that's my term for boshing something. Just kidding, Matt. We love you. We love you, Matt. Never fight. No, we love Matt. Actually, we still need to host a podcast boxing night in Tahoe where we get all the podcast hosts and we lace up and we box, and whoever comes out on top is the superior podcast.
It'll never happen. Matt already had who's he going to box? Bro CR?
Yeah. No. Bro CR.
There's only one thing more pathetic than grown adult men that, resorting to fighting to settle an argument is grown adult men backing out of a fight to settle an argument because they both realize that they're about to embarrass themselves.
Okay, I agree with the post, the second half of that statement, but dude, that's like what the manliest men in history have done. It's like, look, you know what? We're going to fight this out, and whoever wins, and that's the end of the argument. Because words are not.
That's manly, but saying I need to set up a boxing match and I need people to film it so that I can feel like a tough guy, that's not manly.
That's
Two
true.
Guys squaring off with no one around, that's manly stuff. Saying that we need to live stream it and charge people to get there and then bailing out because they realize I've never been in a fight before and I'm about to lose on the internet, that's not manly.
Hey, this is being made up on the spot. Like Brakken and I did not talk about this before. And if Brakken agrees, then I'm in. But I have never been in a fight. I got jumped plenty in high school because I was a depressed, nerdy little kid. But I've never hit anybody, and I've never been in a fight where I was like willingly in it. But I will raise my hand right now and say, if I show up to Tahoe, which I think I will, because we want to knock out some recordings and podcasts there, and we have a post party after the ultra. Well, that's not really fair to Brakken because he's going to be after an ultra beast, and I'll be fresh.
Out me that I'm doing the Tahoe Ultra Beast?
Oh no, you're not. Oh, shit.
Did you just out me, Benny?
Okay, well now hold on.
Now it's on air. Now it's on air. Yep, my ultra that I'm prepping for is Tahoe.
You can just cancel this and do this again, right?
Get it. Put it out there, Benny. Hold me accountable.
Are you sure?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, crap. Brakken's doing.
What were you about to say? Were you about to?
I was going to say.
fight me.
No, not. Well, I'll fight you, but that wasn't what I was going to say. I was going to say,
I'll fight you, Benny.
let's have all the podcast hosts. Let's all just box each other. It's a big
I
fight.
think it's a good idea, and I think it's a bad idea.
Well, I mean,
You'll end up having no one do it, and it'll end up being Hunter's just gonna talk someone into fighting him. That's what's gonna end up happening.
Hunter's not showing up to Tahoe. Hunter is not coming to Tahoe, and if he does, he's not allowed to fight. I'm not fighting Hunter.
I didn't say he's gonna fight you. I said he's gonna talk his way into someone will box him.
That's true, but it won't be me, and it's definitely not going to be you or any of the other podcast people. But no, dude, I think if all the podcasts agree, the amount of like listeners, like the force behind that, there's no way we would be able to bail. But anyways, dude, I'd love to box you. That'd be fun. I mean, I've never done it. It'd be terrifying, but I want to do
it. So there's boxing and there's sparring. Sparring would be a lot of fun. Boxing would not be any fun.
What sparring? You like throw kicks and stuff, or what?
No, boxing is where you're trying to hurt the other person and win. Sparring is where you're trying to box with each other in like a gentlemanly fashion, where you're not trying to really hurt. You're just trying to not gently, but land in an appropriate way, and you both get better.
Oh, I say, good sir. I would like to fight you as a gentleman, not
Sparring is practice, boxing is competition. It would not be fun for most people to box.
No, I don't want to box anybody. I would like to have a friendly bout of gentlemanly sparring.
I'd spar with you, Benny.
Sweet. Let's do it. Let's do it. I also want to take on the Bro CR lads. This intro has gone on very long. Let's get back to Johnny and Obstacle Dominator. So Obstacle Dominator.
Johnny's building what? He's building to the. Go ahead.
Okay,
we're off the rails here.
The training guide is coming out in June, and I'm super excited because we have now added in the sparring side to it. No, there's no boxing, but it's going to be coming out in June, which is just past Big Bear, which kind of marks the mid-season points where people start prepping to make sure they show up finely tuned for championship season, which with the amount of races that have championships is, what is that, like October and November?
October, November, yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually quite a long season, and this is going to be showing you the difference between, we watch all the big names show up to the championship season, we watch them race throughout the whole year, and then this training guide is going to show you the difference in what people who do great at the end have been doing throughout the year, and the people who kind of fall apart on the mountain because they didn't structure their year to show up peaking athletically for the championship season. Ain't that right, Brakken?
That's right. Big Bear is that dividing line in the season. Everyone gets a few weeks off here, rest, recover, get your mind right, get your body right, and then you build to your championship. And that's what this guide's going to do. Build to your championship.
Cool. So this intro has already gone on and off the rails way longer than it usually is. So without further ado, we've got Johnny Luna Lima in episode number 14, and let's take it away. We got Johnny Luna Lima chilling in. Is it a van? You called it a car, but it looks like you're joining.
It's a Jeep. It's a Jeep.
Oh, nice, fancy. Yeah. Oh, I see that. Those are the little things that pop the roof off, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice, dude. Well, you are coming off obviously a huge win, and I mean a huge win because that wasn't just like some random weekend race. That was one of I think it was the first actual mountain stock for the US Series, and you didn't just win, you won with a handful of minutes over Atkins, which was completely unexpected. So let's launch immediately into just talking about that real quick. How the hell did that go? And did you think you were going to win? Was it kind of
before we get into this and say unexpected, let's go on record and say that we're not just bandwagon jumpers here. Johnny, when did we contact you to do a podcast?
Yeah, you guys contacted me before the race, but then
what was the exact quote? Why did I want you on?
Brakken said that I should get on the podcast before because I was going to crush Big Bear.
Exactly. Like that. We knew big thing. Now, to be fair, I don't know if I would have bet my family's life on you winning the race, but I would have probably bet it that you would have been on the podium. But that win and the dominant style of it was really, really not only impressive, but surprising.
Well, Brakken, if you would bet your family's life on the turnout of any race, I would question your family-friendly image you've sculpted over the past couple of years.
Family-in-law, then. I'll bet my family-in-law.
Oh, that works. That's much better.
Family law. That's fair. That's ruthless.
Did you believe coming in? Obviously, your level of confidence in the mountains is high, but did you believe, like truly believe, that you had as good a chance to win as anyone else in the field?
I definitely knew I had the fitness to finish on the podium, just given the past races and how I felt in them. And it was just a matter of just running bravely and like just giving my true honest effort. But to win, I wouldn't say I necessarily believed, but like deep down, I really wanted to win, you know? But at the same time, I didn't want to create like this massive expectation in my head and then just be like disappointed after the race. You know, I kind of like to baby step my goal setting. Like coming into the first national series race, I was like, okay, I want a top 8 finish. And then I finished 7th. And then Alabama, originally I wanted a top 5 finish, but I kind of botched that. And then going into Seattle, I was like, okay, you can finish top 5. And then I kind of had a little slip up on a little obstacle there, which costed me the 3rd place finish, but I ended up finishing 4th. And then coming into Big Bear, I was definitely feeling confident. The day before, on like Matt B. Davis asked like what my goal was, and I said top 3. And yeah, I managed to string it together, so I'm stoked on that.
Now, hold on. Did Matt have a mic on him at the point, or was it like?
Yeah, he filmed me.
Okay. So hey, Matt, just so you know, we had him first. We just had a scheduling issue, so suck it.
Johnny, I feel like during big workouts or even during regular recovery runs or easy runs, like the mind kind of starts drifting into the race that's coming up. And it's real easy to be envisioning like, oh man, I am just going to pull away from this person, or this is all going to go right. And you're clicking in workouts and you just picture winning. But then like when you're laying in bed or when things are going rough in a workout, you have that like one big worry. Like I'm ready for Big Bear. Like for you, I know I can descend. I know I can do this. I know I can do that. But there's this one thing, like this scares me about the race. What was that thing for you coming into Big Bear that made you think if something goes wrong, this is what will keep me from a podium?
For me, it's generally the start of the race. It's where I struggle. You know, Spartan just has this weird tendency to take it out super hard, whether it's a flat race or like a mountain race. Like, I don't know, like in a flat race, like the first half mile will be way significantly faster than the pace that's going out in the middle of the race. Like even if the person's like, even for first place, you know, and that's where I struggled. So like, I knew that going into this race, I was going to have to just, I don't know, dance with the devil at the start and hold on tight and just be patient, because I knew like that once we settled into the pace that I would be able to climb fairly well. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to climb with Atkins and Woods, but I knew that I was going to be able to close gaps pretty aggressively on the descents. But yeah, I'd say that thing that kind of scared me the most was probably the start. It's just odd at times, you know?
It is. It's unfortunate, and it's just the way it's progressed. Now, well, watching the race, it's interesting that you had thought that, because you weren't super engaged with that top group. You were in range of the top group, but were you starting to think like, oh man, here it goes again? Or were you thinking, I'm within myself, they're going to blow up, I'm going to catch them back on the first descent?
Like I knew I had them in contact on the first climb, and then I knew that I could definitely close on the first descent. And then, but like that first group was odd, you know, you had the usual Ryan Atkins there and Woodsy, but then I expected Robert Killian to be up there, but he just wasn't. And then same with Ryan Kent, and then like the group that was leading, it was just different from past races.
Yeah,
so
Bierman was up there for a while.
Yeah.
And then I was like, so I knew like a lot of like some people in the first group just were just gonna blow up, you know, like even if the first climb were longer, like they would drop off. But then that like the climbs, they were long, but they were also like shorter than something like Tahoe, you know, so it just brought us straight into like a super steep descent, which suited me quite well. So I was able to close early on.
Yeah.
So everyone knows you can descend. Everyone's always known that. Your Strava splits after races. I remember the first time I noticed it was in Tahoe, probably 2 years ago. This Luna Lima guy was flying down. But the question always was, is he that good of a descender, or is that what happens when he's not running as fast on the other stuff, that he's just fresh enough to really attack and bomb descents? And that was always the question, like when he has the fitness to run with the top guys up the mountain, will he still be as fast down? And I think you answered that on the very first descent when you suddenly made up a gap on Ryan, which really doesn't happen very often. And you can kind of see that took a little bit out of his sails when the one like ace in the hole that he brings to a race, you brought a bigger one. Was that like this big energy shift? Did you feel that?
I'd say, I don't know, because like I've always been really pretty damn confident in my descending, you know. So as soon as I caught him, I was more worried about the climb that was to come, you know. I was like, oh, shit, he's about to clobber me on this climb, and then, I mean, I felt good on the climb, and then like I've been just training. Just in training, like I knew I was like I've been a lot more intact with my breath, like focusing a lot more on my breath, like during hard efforts. So then, like I was like, okay, like I know where I'm at, and like this is I'm comfortable in this climbing pace right now, and this intensity. So like once I kind of got over the fact that I was right next to Ryan Atkins, then I was able to settle into my own race, you know, because like I've idolized him for literally the longest time, you know, and then it's like all of a sudden, like I'm next to this guy and I'm like, holy shit.
He's very hard to race next to. He's got like this aura around him that's different than other people. And he has a confidence when he races. And like you idolize the guy, but also he climbs mountains different than everyone else. And he power hikes so often. This was your first chance getting next to him for an extended period of time where you get to feel that sensation of running the same pace he's power hiking. Did that mess with your rhythm, or were you able to shut that out?
No, because given the course and just the nature, like I looked at the elevation profile, like I saw the, the grades and stuff and whatnot. And like I myself have played quite a bit on the mountains, you know? And so I also like have power hiking experience, you know, so it's not like I was running next to him. Like, so like there were at times, like there was a lot of times during the race that like I was power hiking, and it definitely wasn't the first time, you know.
I didn't mean that. I meant that he will power hike at different grades than other people usually.
Yeah. And like there's like in the replay, you definitely see like a couple times that I'm running and he's power hiking and whatnot, and then going into the race, like I was just talking to friends, and like because I have this tendency to get comfortable and like just run next to whoever I'm running next to, you know. So then like one of the biggest things for me going into the race was to like make sure I don't get comfortable, you know, regardless of whether that's like falling into a power hike because the dude next to me is in a power hike, or like running on grades that I'm not supposed to type thing, you know.
Where do you make that decision between switching from running and power hiking? Obviously, it seems to be different depending on who you are, because Atkins likes to throw on the hiking at different times. But I was watching the live coverage, and there were times when Woods, you know, he was doing a little canter, and Atkins would switch to the canter, and then Woods would switch to hiking. So for you, is it a sign that you're like maybe your calves start firing a little too much? So you're like, all right, I'm going to switch to hiking, or what's the deciding factor for you?
It's really more just a gut feeling, you know. It's like sometimes like I'll be running uphill and then I'm like, okay, this feels kind of slow. Let me switch to hiking and see how it feels. It's just a gut feeling more, you know. There isn't really a deciding factor, because I feel like if it were a shorter distance race, maybe like a super that was that steep, I probably would have tried running more, because like in training I found that like, yes, running can be faster if you can sustain it efficiently, or else you fall into like this weird little like, I don't know, this little like jog type thing, you know, that isn't, it looks fast, but it's really not, you know.
Second question, where do you get your magnificent frames from?
My magnificent frames? Yeah, you know. But what do you mean, like pictures?
No, your glasses.
Oh. Warby Parker.
Warby Parker. That's what's up, dude. Yeah. He knows. Brakken, what do you know about that Warby?
I don't know. I was born with superhuman eyesight.
Yeah,
I traded for some descending ability though.
No, it's funny. Like this was the first race I actually wore contacts in because I need the glasses for far away stuff. So before, like, I just would never wear contacts for like any like fast running, and like I figured like, oh yeah, contacts could probably useful like when you're running downhill really fast. So then I popped some in before the race, and I was like, damn, I'm racing HD today. And I was
dude. What a nightmare. I've done 3 races. One was my first race, and I didn't really think about it. And I literally I was in a fight for, I don't know, second or first, and I ended up chucking my glasses into the woods and saying, screw it, I want this. There was no prize money or anything. It was my first time being competitive, and I was like, gotta go. And then the other 2 times were my contact like blew away in the wind pre-race as I'm trying to put it in. I was like, oh crap. But dude, glasses, they totally change everything versus contacts. I run like the same trails around my house all the time. And one time I decided to put contacts in because I knew it was going to be raining during my run. And I don't know, I just felt like I was faster. So maybe we can attribute your win to racing with contacts.
Yeah, dude, it's that wind resistance of the glasses. They just slow you down.
Right. Damn it, Warby, you're slowing us down.
Yeah.
So you're getting kind of infamous for your downhill running.
Yeah.
Can you trace that back to athletic roots somewhere, or is that just something that you've worked on, or is it a bit of both?
I'd say it's a bit of both, you know. So like I come from a soccer background. I played soccer from when I was 4 to like 19 years old. So like, and I would just like practice a lot of footwork with the ball and just like a lot of attention to detail with the small stuff, you know, constantly just running through cones and doing plenty of agility with and without the ball. So like you end up developing this really strong connection to like where your feet are in time, you know? So I think that definitely helps. But I do practice it, you know, it's like, it's not, especially like when you got to be sport specific at some point, you know, like if you're going to be racing down fast, you got to take the chances in training at some point, you know, whether it's like really short intervals or like doing a tempo run where you hammer up and hammer down, you know, or even just like in your long run, just having some sections that you run it with purpose, you know, you don't need to like necessarily like just run them super hard every single time. Cause like, that's going to get you in training, you know, and you're not going to be able to sustain that. But like, if you do run them with some purpose in your long run, you know, just keeping your heart rate elevated, I think that's important. And that's something I do try to practice. And it's something I really enjoy, you know, because just breaking the whole time during long runs, like nobody deserves that.
I think about this all the time. Anytime I'm running a trail that's on a mountain and I've got up and down to do. And I always think of it as like free momentum, free energy when I'm going down. And so I try and suck up every piece of that as I can. But then I always hear people talking about the continual increase of fatigue that you get in your quads from slamming over and over and over. And I guess I just don't understand. I've never heard people like go into a description of why that is. Like you're not actually, I mean, you're working the muscle, but is it just straight impact that provides fatigue in the same way that like the muscle contracting to make you go upwards does, or what's that about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like a different type of contraction, you know, like as you're going downhill, like rather than the muscle shortening, it's lengthening. So then like, you're just going to have like a more muscle damage happening. So like in the long run, you're just going to have more fatigue, I guess. Like that's why your quads are so thrashed after like I don't know, like sprinting down a hill, you know? So then like, that's like another reason why it's like important to, I guess, train like running downhill with purpose, you know, especially if you're gearing up for a mountain race. So your body learns so your body recovers it from that during training. And so when race day comes around, like your muscles are ready for that type of contraction. You know?
Yeah, you nailed it. That eccentric contraction of downhill running you can't experience that for the first time in a race or you're done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you've obviously, just hearing you talk about it, you clearly spend time planning out specifically what you're doing in training. You talk running with purpose. Just you just casually say, short, fast downhill intervals, downhill tempo runs, and doing long run downhill descents with purpose. Those are 3 stages of downhills that I would be willing to bet a large percentage of the sport don't do any one of those. The fact that you're doing all 3, speaks to a very specific purpose in your training. Is that a year-round purpose, or have you transitioned with the season?
No, in Spartan race, you got to transition with the season. It's like, unfortunately, like my body has unfortunately, like I've had a history of like injuries, so like I knew that like, okay, if I'm going to be training mountain seasons year round, like either I'm just going to find a way to be super durable and not get injured, or like you cycle your training, like, so earlier in the year, I was mainly focusing on flat stuff, gearing up for the flatter Spartan races. And then now, right before Big Bear, luckily we had about a month of about 3 weeks of solid training. So I could like transition from the flat pounding to the more up down pounding.
So was 3 weeks enough for you to get through the entire race without damage, or at the end were you starting to struggle?
I was starting to struggle, but not necessarily like because like of all the pounding. It was just because like I want to say it was just because like it was a 2-hour race and I was just tired,
There's a difference.
like,
there's fatigue struggling and there's damage struggling. It sounds like you were
yeah,
just fatigued.
I wouldn't say it wasn't damage because like, yeah, I've been sore these past couple of days, but like it wasn't, I feel like I would have been just as sore if I would have done like a 2-hour flat rolly Spartan race, not necessarily like, because it was like a mountainous race. So like, yeah, luckily I did have the time to I guess transfer that. Those 3 weeks were enough. But I mean, right before Seattle, I did start doing some like more hilly stuff, but nothing crazy. The focus
was there ever a point during the race, aside from, well, I guess there wasn't a fire jump, aside from the barbed wire crawl, where you thought, oh man, I've got this? Like what point did you think, oh, it's over, I got this, as long as I don't do anything stupid, then I win?
Yeah, so that's like one of the things that really that like screwed me over in Seattle, It's like I was running in 3rd place comfortably. I don't know. I had like a close to 2-minute gap over Kent, and then it's like I got stuck on this obstacle. And then I was like, so like one of my goals for Big Bear was to stay just present, like completely present with the moment. So like the way I did that was like I was either counting my steps, like just literally just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or I just had like little mantras going on. So like as soon as there was like constantly moments that I was like, dude, if you don't screw up, you're gonna win this damn thing, But then like as soon as that would happen, like I would just revert my thought process. Which really helped. But like, yeah, I did run into like thoughts like that constantly throughout the race. Like, especially like, I don't know. And it was weirdly early too, just because like the mileage on mountain races are so weird. Cause like we had all the climbing essentially like in the first 4 or 5 miles. So then like you're there for like, in those miles for like an hour and 15. And you look at your watch and you're like, oh, we're an hour and 15 minutes in, but we're at mile 4 or 5 or whatever it was, so then like I was having those thoughts like starting at mile 4, 5, 6. I was like, dude, like if you maintain this, you could win. But like I'd like shut it down. Like I kept telling myself like I'm gonna keep like these thoughts like quiet until after the barbed wire crawl. Like it's
so
like
smart.
It's like
sport, you can't cruise to a victory because there's always something that will go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know, with like what happened to me in Alabama, it's like I missed the bell on the monkey bars. So then I was like, you're not celebrating once you hit the rig. Like you're going to hit the bell on the rig and then go through the barbed wire and then you can celebrate. Like,
yeah, that's That's a good choice. I'd always heard these examples of, I had a lead, or actually, usually I hear the opposite. I hear that, man, I was just despairing. He was pulling away. I couldn't do it. And then he missed his spear and I won the whole thing and blah, blah, blah. And then, the conclusion is you can't ever think anything is over until you literally cross the finish line in obstacle racing, because just there are so many different ridiculous variables that it's unlike any other sport. And the first time I experienced that, I was in the losing position the entire race, and actually experiencing it, I drove it home in a way that hearing stories never could do. I was chasing this guy down and he was pulling away from me the entire race. It was a 10K. He was a super fast runner. And then he messes up an obstacle in the last 200 meters of the race, and I ended up winning. And that really drives it home. You freaking can't, especially in, what was your finishing time?
It was 2:09.
Yeah, especially in an over 2 hour race. I mean, that 10K was over in 40 to 50 minutes. I don't remember. But even through that time, I can't imagine. I haven't done those longer races in so long that it's going to be really weird for me. I'm doing the stadium series just because it's fun, but I objectively realize I don't have the aerobic development. It just takes years and years. And while I'm adding drops into that, I'm going to stay to this shorter stuff. But I'm looking forward to coming back and then having to play with all this mental strategy, because I don't know, Brakken, would you agree there's not as much headspace during our short course races to even think about this kind of stuff, because it's just balls to the wall the entire time?
Possibly. Yeah, it could be that way.
Okay, maybe for the people who are dying trying to catch you bald, streamlined mofos.
So Johnny, that 2:09 finish time, was that a huge surprise for you looking at last year? Were people preparing for more of a 3-hour war?
No, I wasn't preparing for a 3-hour war. Given my training runs and just past years of running in the mountains, and I saw the elevation profile, and then I was like, okay, without obstacles at a long run intensity, I can finish it in X amount of time. So I knew that the race was going to be won between it was 2:10 and 2:20. That just a combination of seeing last year's finish times and just running in the mountains, and just having an idea of how quick I can cover ground and whatnot,
Mm-hmm. So what did you carry on course for a 2:10 to 2:20 win?
Yeah. So then, I just had all my nutrition in a belt. I had about 600 calories with me. Just all liquid calories. Then, yeah.
What do you prefer to use?
This race I used Goo Octane mix in the first hour, and that was in a 16-ounce flask, and then I just sipped on that for the first hour, and then the second hour I had 2 12-ounce flasks with 3 honey stingers divided. Did
you refill those in the second hour, or did you have all 3 flasks on you?
No. So in the first hour I had the 16-ounce flask, and then the second hour I had the 2 12-ounce flasks. Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you carry all 3 flasks full from the start?
Yeah, it kind of sucked. Okay. I'm not gonna lie.
But what waist pack? Because you had the waist pack on. What pack did you use to carry all 3 of those?
It was just a really minimalist Solomon one. I forget the name of it. It just hugs your body. And then I had
the pulse belt.
Yeah, I think that might be it. And then I just I put the stuff in the belt, and then I jammed the belt in my shorts. So then it just looked like I had all this I don't know, my shorts were riding super high because of the belt. And then I had just all these lumps popping out of it. And then, it was the best look.
Did it keep it from bouncing too much though?
Yeah, it was fine. There was one point in the race that the bottle just flew out, and at one point in the race, the bottle flew out, and then I had to pick it up. But that was in a kind of flattish section, so it wasn't the biggest deal. And then there another point in the race, I was running downhill, and the bottle comes out of the belt and just starts sliding down the inside of my thigh.
Oh no!
So then when that happened, I just pulled it out and then ran down the rest of the hill just holding it. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna figure out a better system for that, because
did you use all your ounces and all your calories? Did you drain it at some point?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, I just drank it all. I think I had like 4 ounces left at the end or something like that. And yeah, I'd say it worked out pretty well. Didn't really like when I stopped at aid stations, it was just more to, just like my mouth was kind of sticky. So then, yeah.
As a budding superstar with this win, you're going to start setting fashion trends with your Warby glasses and your lumpy waistline.
Yeah, dude, that lumpy waistline is, yeah, it's killer.
I didn't notice it on the live feed. I'm gonna have to go back and hopefully it'll show on with the ESPN cameras. Everyone's gonna be like, "What crap's up with that guy?"
Yeah, and some of the finishing pictures you can kind of see like the lumpy stuff going on. But
so where do you live that has got you? I mean, we know you as a racer, but who are you as a person that's prepped you to kind of be in the situation you're at now? Where do you live? What's your job? Are you doing this full time? Let's hear about you.
So right now I'm living in Boulder. I live with Andy Wacker. He's a local.
Okay.
He's a pro mountain runner and road runner.
It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, he just finished 8th in the 25K road running champs. His half marathon PR is 63 minutes, and then he gets up Pikes Peak in like 2 hours and 10 minutes.
How do you know Andy?
So I just contacted Nicole Miracle and I was like, "Hey, I want to move to Boulder. You know anyone that has a room available?" And then she connected me with Andy.
Dude,
so then,
pretty awesome roommate.
I was literally about to move in with him, but I was going to move in with him like 3 or 4 months ago, and I was looking at moving to Boulder, and we were chatting, but he found out I had a dog, and he already has a dog, and the landlord said he can't have more than one. So, man, Where would you have been without me being so gentlemanly as giving you that room?
Yeah, I mean, I moved in February, so I think I still would have been in the same spot.
Well, that's awesome. Where'd you move from?
Northern California.
Okay.
I grew up at my parents' ranch. It's about, I don't know, an hour east of San Francisco. And then, yeah, there's plenty of hills here. And then we have a big mountain with a big mountain with like a 3,000 foot climb. So this is where I guess I started running. Like I played soccer from when I was 4 to 19. And then like I got super burnt out from soccer. They made me play through a stress fracture. And yeah, that was pretty shitty. So then when I decided to stop playing, I was just watching TV and I saw Spartan Race World Champs. And it was showing the Killington race. And then I was like, damn, this looks so rowdy. I got to do this. And then I told my sister that I was going to give one a try. And then, yeah, that was it.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
You're 23. Okay. So you've been racing for 4 years?
I started in 2015, but then that stress fracture. So I thought it was completely healed, but then when I started run training and racing and whatnot, like it came back. So then I had to take like a year and a half off. So I took 2016 off and part of 2017. And then, so in 2017, I did, I think, races. I did Monterey, then I did Morzine Super and Edinburgh Beast, and then I went to Tahoe. Yeah.
Is that the year you got like 11th?
Yeah, that was the year I got 11th.
So looking at Big Bear, the comments right after as you cross the line, we might have a new favorite for Tahoe. And then obviously, like, no one wants to hear that unless you're like that guy who thrives off that. No one wants to be the new favorite. You know, everyone wants to fly under the radar. But does that change your short-term goal setting you talked about? Did this race kind of shortcut past a few goals? Are you now eyeing like, I have a legit chance to be on a world podium or maybe even a world champion?
Yeah, I mean, there's like, I can't ignore that, you know? And so yeah, it's definitely on the radar, you know, but I'm going to take everything just one race at a time, one training day at a time, you know? I have plenty of races before that. But I'm definitely setting up my schedule for the summer to set me up for success in Tahoe. Because I don't know, Tahoe is just such a race that I'm so passionate about. I've had good experiences there this far, and like I'm definitely going to work towards a strong performance there, whether it's a podium finish or in the top 5, or even winning. If that chance is there, I'm not going to shy away from it.
Oh yeah, man! And you were looking at. You said you were taking a passport picture right before we got on here. Are you potentially coming overseas for the OCR World Championships in London?
No, probably no OCR World Championships for me. Just because if I'm gonna go overseas, it's for Skyrunning World Championships or something like that. Because that's something I really enjoy, just the nature of those rugged courses, and it just looks so rad, to be honest. And I definitely want to get just sky races under my belt. That's one of the reasons I moved to Boulder, was to train to become potentially a good sky runner, or become the best mountain runner I can possibly become.
Man, you're taking a real sidewinder route to taking out Albin here. You got your humble eyes on Tahoe, which is his place. You've got your eyes on sky running overseas. Look out, Albin.
No, I mean, it's one of the biggest things for me, like in this sport, because so when I played soccer, like my goal hands down was to become like a professional soccer player at all costs, and that kind of just completely sucked the fun out of it, I just sacrificed everything. I wouldn't go out with friends. I'd just like train day in, day out ever since like I was 13, I was like, so I don't know, that just really sucked the fun out of it. So in OCR and mountain running, it's like the way I set up my schedule and the way I train, I train in a way that I'm passionate for, and that keeps me fresh, so it's not, so that, yeah, that's more how I think of it,
Yeah, don't worry. I'm not trying to set you up as a guy with a target on Albin's back.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible way to go, though. I think he showed that the better you become at sky running, the better you can do in these mountain races. Speaking of which, did you see his results from Transvolcania?
Yeah, he had a super solid day there.
To take 4th there in that field is outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, those races like definitely excite me. And I'm thinking about doing a race over there in August, but we'll see.
Well, you just financed it at Big Bear.
Huh?
You just financed it at Big Bear.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you think about doing a mountain marathon with Novakovic up in Alaska? Is that a sky run race?
Yeah, I would consider it a sky race, like despite it being super short, but it's definitely technical and steep enough,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they would let me in the race, I'd give it a try. It's like,
what, you don't just have to pay $20 more to race with the professionals?
They're strict about this one. It's like a institution up there.
That's a super interesting race, because it's a super niche race, because you have like the Alaskans that know the mountains super well. So like even Max King, just with his like crazy engine, he went there and he finished 2nd, so yeah, I mean that's a race that type of racing definitely excites me, Like I wish Spartan Race would do a race in Alaska. And that'd be
They've talked about it for years. It's been on their pre-reg list like 4 of the last 6 years, and it just never comes to fruition.
Yeah, but I mean, it looks like Spartan Race is towards this track of like just fast racing in general, whether it's on flats or on the mountain, because like, yeah, Big Bear is super steep, but when you look at like the terrain and stuff, it's fast terrain despite it being so steep,
So you're clearly a super fast guy no matter what course you're on. With Spartan having a specific mountain series, what made you choose the US series? Just like more clout and more focus, or what?
I mean, if you're going to be so this is my first year really focusing on the national series. Like before, I kind of shied away from it, just because of the nature of the courses. But then at the same time, I was kind of just like, I don't know. I was kind of afraid to expose myself. So part of like the reason of choosing the national series was just to completely expose myself to any type of course and become a better overall athlete. You know, staying in the mountain series alone would have just kept me sort of in my comfort zone. Like, yeah, like I still would have had to work my ass off to win the damn thing, you know, but like I knew in the national series, like I would be well outside my comfort zone. Just like racing guys that are faster than me, and then like me challenging myself on the flats. And like I'm really glad I did it, because like now I really enjoy flats, and I'm gonna keep integrating them like on a weekly basis in my training, you know, regardless if I'm gearing up for a mountain race or whatever it is.
Yeah. I don't think I'm anywhere near your fitness. But I had a similar experience, and that's why this year I finally said, look, no more hiding from Spartan race. Well, I mean, it's always been kind of like a mixture, like a concoction of reasons. Like the obstacles, frankly, are just really boring, and it's all about the aerobic engine and how fast you can run and stuff. But it still was ultimately layered with this, like, if I don't do Spartan, no one can actually know whether I'm good or bad, because I never race any of these people.
Yeah.
So this year I was like, no, you gotta pick a series, and you gotta stick with it, and then be fine with whatever turns out. Like you can't just get all caught up in like the placements and bets and you know who you beat and who beats you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super similar as me. I mean, and I think so far it's like I'm stoked that I decided to commit to the series, you know, like despite like watching Alabama and whatnot. I think it's been a great experience so far. It's making me a better athlete overall, and just more confident, and just excited about what I do, you know?
At least you didn't grab a truss.
Yeah, that sucks.
That point system this year, it allows you to botch something as long as you have a couple of real highs in there.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because the way it's set up, like if you look at so for example, if you looked at the standings before Big Bear, people are like, why are Kirk and Johnny up so high, you know, and stuff. Like I get it. It looks weird, but I think once the series is over, it's actually a pretty solid point system, you know?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it early, but it's proving itself over time now.
Yeah, like it's cool because it has the potential to reward consistency, but it also really rewards big risks, so to say, you know? So like, for example, if you just come out and just like, you're like, all right, whatever, I'm just going to run as hard as I can and potentially finish in the top 4, boom, you get a crap load of points. But if you're going to be conservative and not go for a top spot, then I guess you get some points.
Are these delved out the same way that they are in the Stadium Series, Brakken, where after 4, it's a massive drop off?
Yep. And well, it's not a it's a massive drop off 1 through 4, and after that it's just 1 point each one. And what that does is, like you said, it rewards going for it. Because if you blow up, like, who cares whether you're 5th place or 15th? Like, what's 10 points? Who cares? But going for 4th is like such a reward for 3rd or 2nd that it's totally worth a blow up or 2. And that's what we're seeing happen in these races.
Yeah, exactly. So I think once the series are done, it'll be cool to see the final results, you know? And at first I didn't like him either, but it's been grown on me. Like, yeah, I've obviously been rewarded for it, but I think I'd probably like it either way, just because of the nature just the potential of excitement that it has, you know, for people, encouraging people to go for it. Yeah.
So you talked terrain a few minutes ago about that runnable terrain. During I don't know if you went back, did you rewatch the broadcast?
Yeah, I watched it.
Did you notice people talking about your shoes?
Oh yeah, my road running shoes.
Yeah, like he's in road flat bottoms, and to me it looked like you were in the Terra Kigers.
Yeah, that was the shoe I was in.
But people thought you were in like Lunars or like Pegasus or something, and they're like, he's not.
Yeah.
They don't even have grip on his shoes. I think those are hard trail running shoes, which, you know, is exactly what that course was. Have you been in those shoes long?
Yeah, I've been running in them quite a bit between those and the VJ Sports. But like just given the nature of the course, like how dry it was and how fast we were going, I just figured it was the right shoe. And just given how I like to run downhill, like I've run downhill hard in other shoes, and it's like get down the hill really fast, but it comes at a cost sometimes,
Yes, it
So,
does.
yeah.
Did you run in the previous version of the Terra Tigers?
Yeah. These are much better.
I didn't like the last. I wanted to like the threes, and
Yeah.
these are I think are it's almost like a different shoe. It's much improved.
Yeah. I like them. Like once you break them in, like at first they're super bouncy and kind of weird, but once you get a couple of miles in them, then they start to feel like a real solid trail shoe. Like you can start.
They added that React foam into these, and they took out the AirPod up front. And you're right, it is a much bouncier ride, but it really rewards pounding a descent rather than punishing you for pounding a descent. I think that React foam is perfect for hard downhill running.
Yeah. Yeah, the only downside was that I forgot to clip my toenails before the race. So that just wrecked my feet.
You're just hitting the front constantly?
No, it was only on the last descent. But I feel like there's no shoe that can really just hold your foot, just like, because I mean, the amount of force that you're coming down with is just, it's just high,
You know what the shoe that I found the best lockdown in is that Scott Super Track. Have you run in those?
Yeah, I ran those last season, and I've been bugging Scott. I'm like, let me try one of your shoes again, just for like long mountain, because like summer's around the corner. So like, just for long mountain stuff, just to give them a try. But I'm excited to try the VJ Maxes. It looks,
me too.
They have a similar setup as the Scots. So, and I feel like in the, what's it called? Their other model, the Extremes, like those lock my foot down pretty well.
Really good lockdown, but they're such a firm, minimal shoe that it's hard. It's hard to take them past like 10 miles of pounding. Like if that was Killington or something soft, I think you could get away with that shoe.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like if it would have rained the day before the race, I probably would have raced in the VJs. Yeah. Just like, I don't know, I've run in California quite a bit in Tahoe and stuff. So I was like, if this gets hard, it gets like, then we're talking about some hard terrain, Yeah.
I ran the first time I got introduced to that was in Temecula. I brought my Innovate 190s, and that's it. And it just baked the 2 days before the race. And I felt like I was just running down asphalt. And I thought, man, I need a backup shoe when I race on the West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, I've done mountain races out here, like in my parents' backyard, and I race in like, I don't know, some Innovates, and I literally just got blisters on the bottom of my foot because like it's so hot and the terrain's just hard ground, and it just all that friction, it's like blistered the bottom of my feet.
That's weird.
That's of that race. I had to wear Hoka's for the sprint because I was so beat up from the Innovates.
Holy crap, dude! For a sprint,
there's no other option.
Yeah.
You know what? You guys talking about speed and shoes so much. I'm thinking that my total fail of a 5K a few weeks ago was because I was wearing, I don't even know what they are. They're like these big floofy Adidas shoes. And they're like running on clouds. And I clocked like the worst 5K I've ever run, where usually I run in like minimalist shoes. So I don't know. I'm starting to learn that shoes actually matter when it comes to performance.
Hey, when the race goes wrong, you blame it on the shoes right away.
Right.
Always. It's not because you're not fit. It's just your shoes suck.
Like, wrong shoe. Although, Benny, if you're training and racing in one pair of shoes, why did you pull out your other shoes for a time trial?
Well, because my like bursitis in my heel has started to flare up lately, and I was like, okay, I need to get off this minimalist crap and stop pounding my heel. Which, yes, maybe I should have put it off another day, but I don't know. I thought a 5K
that's
is
a reasonable explanation.
Yeah.
Especially if it's just a 5K. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. Was like, it's not like I'm trying to, PR like a 1,500 meter or like a 400. It's not really speed.
Yeah.
So before we get to rapid fire at the end here, Johnny, I want to find out a bit about your transition from soccer to this. I don't know if you recall, many years ago, you emailed me about training. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did.
You had some questions.
Uh-huh.
So like
Yeah.
for you to go from that to you are coaching in the sport now. Like
Yeah.
you had a very steep learning curve, but you got through it, I feel, a lot quicker than a lot of people. At 23, you're like a new athlete in the sport, and yet you seem like you've aged beyond your just 4 years in the sport. What was that learning curve like, coming from not running to having to learn everything and finally coaching? And what was your big, like, your holdups? What did you have to break through mentally to be able to really grasp this?
Yeah, I feel like in the beginning of the sport, it's such a unique sport and like the obstacles are so exciting in their own way, you know, that it's so easy to just like create this massive focus on obstacles, you know, and just running really hard between obstacles, so to say, and in training. So like when I started the sport, like I would just do like, I would practice obstacles so much, you know, like so many carries and just like constantly running really hard, which eventually just led to me like severely overtraining myself and getting a really bad stress fracture, which sidelined me for close to a year and a half. But it's funny because like all my learning occurred in that year and a half, you know. It's like I was like, oh, like podcasts are a thing. And then like I just started listening to all these podcasts, you know, and just first it was like only OCR specific podcasts, and where I'd like, okay, like how does Ryan Atkins train? How does John Alvin train? How does Bracken train? How does Hunter train? Like just like figuring out like, okay, whoa, there is multiple recipes to being good at this sport. And then I like slowly, okay, like what could potentially work for Johnny, you know? And then eventually like, I was like, okay, like I've listened to all of these podcasts, and then I like started diving into more mountain running and just pure running and just like learning about that and like how you're supposed to train for those. And then, in that time span, I also linked up with Ryan Kempson and Ian Hozek. And they've been just huge mentors for me, you know. Ryan Kempson teaching me just like the importance of learning how to move fluidly through space, like with purpose, you know, to know how you're moving, which is like a huge thing, like for like as an athlete. Like there's so many athletes, like especially, there's just so many athletes that like, yeah, they can move, you know, but they don't know how they're moving, you know, which a lot of times does lead to injuries and whatnot. And then Ian he's been constantly teaching me just like the nuances in run programming. And then like, I just have like, when you transfer from soccer to running is like a super repetitive sport, you know, the movement patterns are super repetitive. So like, yeah, I did have years of pounding playing soccer, but like running is just a completely different type of pounding. So like you gotta just, like I learned that you gotta increase your volume slowly over time. And then, yeah, so I'd say like like Ryan, Ian, and just my own research just really helped me, I guess, learn what is necessary for me to become a good athlete in the sport. And just listening to just people, like even if I don't agree with their ideas, you know, like I was open to listen and to understand their side of like why they do something, and just their stories. And like I was always very passionate, like even despite like being sidelined for a year and a half, like I'd still go to races and I would like watch like how the top guys would race and like what they would do and like how they would prepare themselves and all that.
So with somebody who's done so much research and studying, have you ever taken or tried the route, you know, kind of the drum that Richard Diaz beats a lot with, you know, assessing your form and getting yourself on camera and looking at your cadence and your arm swing and things like that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I've talked to Richard Diaz. Like I actually went to his place, and we did the whole spiel, VO2 max testing, looking at running gait, and like I've listened to like all of his podcasts, and there's definitely a lot of value in looking at how you're moving, like in Alabama, for example. Like I watched the monkey bars early on, but like I had the fitness to close the gap, but it wasn't closing. And then I went, and then Stacy, Ian's girlfriend, she got some video of me running, and like we just saw like, damn, your running form just went to shit. Like, so then in that between Alabama and Seattle, like we really worked the run mechanics and like continued working them into Big Bear. So yeah, I think there's a lot of value in like seeing how you're moving on camera.
Well, this is pushing the details pretty hard, and I want to do this because we usually get to about this level, almost kind of surface level of talking about mechanics and things like that. And sometimes we'll even get as specific about talking about exactly like arm swing and 180 steps per minute and things like that. But when you say your form fell to crap, I did a tempo run today where it was, maintaining roughly 6-10 mile pace, and every 5 minutes I'm doing burpees. And I don't know how long I am, whatever. I suck at burpees. Burpees really take it out of me. I just need to get better at those. But when I come out of that, my body really wants to go into total crap form, really long jumping strides, things that on paper are not more energy efficient. But it feels like, and I don't know if this is a feel like, or if it actually does, it feels like it takes so much more energy to maintain good form and that same pace when I'm fatigued like that. So I don't know, could either you or Brakken speak to how, I'm taking notes here, how if I'm coming out feeling fatigued and my body kind of wants to start doing that, isn't that my body saying, hey, this is the movement right now that we can maintain. And if you try and force me into this, efficient movement, then it's gonna raise your heart rate.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's tricky, especially in OCR, like, cause you just go from like running hard into creating, I don't know, some random movements on like an obstacle, which creates just more like, I don't know, like lactate accumulation like in your upper body, which is just going to circulate to your legs eventually, so yeah, that's going to happen, but there are ways that you can definitely train to improve that. And yeah, doing what you're doing is one of them. But so what's going on is like, okay, you're forcing yourself into this state, this compromised running state. So then if you keep pounding yourself in that way, you're going to keep moving in that way, even on race day when you're fresher and hopefully no burpees. Does that make sense?
Right.
So like, I don't know, the body gets really good at doing what you practice. So then you essentially got to practice moving well. Right. So, I mean,
the idea is that getting used to that occurrence in training where your body is really, really tempted to start running like crap under fatigue, you get used to that to where eventually your fatigue doesn't affect your form. It just makes you, like, you still experience fatigue, but it doesn't make your form go to crap. Your body eventually gets efficient using correct form even when you're fatigued.
Feel like you're doing better, like efficiently. You hop up from those burpees, you start flailing like, oh, my arms burn when I'm running straight. If I just flail them, like, this is better, but it's not. Like, we've all seen that person in a race where suddenly their form goes terrible. They're not running fast. They're just hurting a little bit less because they've allowed themselves to just flop for a little bit. But really, they're just flopping slower. Staying in line and in your best movement pattern is always the best option. It's just exhausting when you're compromised. And that's a trainable skill. You can train that over time, but never, ever will you be faster flailing. Yeah. If that was the case, they'd let 100-meter dash runners flail all over, but they don't. They keep them right in line because that's the movement pattern that's fast.
Okay. That makes sense. I'm reading this book. Where is it? It's propping up my camera right now. It's like a textbook called The Science of Running. And in it, is it A2? I don't know. One of the books I'm reading, it talks about how external manual adjustment of your mechanics is to a certain extent not actually the best thing, because your body on every single step is refining slightly your own particular the form that is specific to your body's best efficient route. And so I guess I got kind of wrapped up in thinking, well, that's what my body's telling me to do right now, so that's probably the most efficient. But it makes sense when you talk about training that aspect. You will eventually move that dial to where efficient is actually more comfortable for you rather than flailing.
Yeah, and there's form change and there's form adjustment, form refining. There's a difference there. Like, if you like structurally are bow-legged or hit more forefoot, if you try to just make yourself prance, like you'll never be, that might never be your most efficient, but getting your most forefoot or midfoot, centered under you running despite your bow-leggedness and getting your arms and set, you might never be, a choppy runner, but instead of going like this, if you're just more of here, refining that form goes a long way. Form abrupt change can cause months of hang-ups, and some people never get more efficient after that. But I think people should always be striving to refine their movements, because that's what you access. You get better at what you do, and you access this ability to refine it even further.
I mean, your body's going to naturally move in a way that's most efficient to the way that it's built. And there are ways to like improve that movement slightly, So like, I don't know. So if you'd like take someone's natural form and then completely do a complete 180, like Brakken already touched on this, like it can lead to like a whole like bunch of, I don't know, different issues. Like they'll be running slower to begin with, and then they'll have like all sorts of different potential injury dangers just because you're asking someone that's been running for a long time to change their movement pattern and like stay, hopefully, and just continue training, which is that's just not a good idea. So I guess like going back to that whole running fatigue thing, like if you want to train yourself to move better when you're fatigued, you're better off like shortening intervals, because like if you all you do is like really long intervals that you just like pound yourself into the ground for like 20 minutes straight and you're just moving badly, you're going to end up moving like that. If that makes sense. Like what I've found is just like variety is definitely key to improving general running.
Gotcha.
Two good examples of the form change versus form adjustment. Are you guys familiar with the Nike Oregon project?
Yeah.
Alberto Salazar.
Yeah.
So two of his star pupils are Galen Rupp and Mary Kane. Familiar with those two runners?
Yeah.
So both were high school prodigies. Mary Kane came to him after she set, I think she set the high school 3K and mile record and the 5K. Now one of them might have been broken. The 3K might have been broken. But the point is she was probably the best female high school runner ever in the U.S. And she went to him, and she had very bad form for how fast she was. She was very rounded, very hunched, ran up tall. Her legs crossed over and back. And Galen Rupp, he started working with him when he was like in middle school. And he was his mentor and then became his coach all throughout high school. And so he had a hand in his form from day one. But he did the same thing with both of them. He made them stick to a certain form. But Galen, he had his hands on from like age 12 on. And it was more of refining his form along the way. And now he is a metronome. He is a machine when he runs. He is perfectly up and down. He is always right off the ground, right on the ball of his feet. He kind of runs the way you design someone to run efficiently. Mary came to him after running for a bit longer, and she had, also had the issue of going through puberty and her body changing amongst this. But he had her actually in a horse harness, like you would see on like a plow horse, and it kept her completely in line, and it kept her shoulders locked in her spine exactly how they wanted, and she could only move in a certain movement pattern. And they just rebuilt her stride from the ground up, and she has never run as fast as she ran as a high school senior. And it highlights that difference between microform changes and form complete changes.
Gotcha. Well, that sounds like a freaking nightmare. I would have a hard time not being mad at somebody, even though obviously
She just left the training group.
Oh, snap. So did Centrowitz. This is not a good year for Salazar.
No, their program is kind of boomed and now busted.
Oh, that sucks. Dude, we're going to cheat on you, Johnny, for a second here. We need to get Centrowitz back on. We had him a while ago. I want to check in with him, see what's going on. But Johnny, I want to launch into, since we're talking about training, I want to know what your workout of the week is.
Running or like
any workout?
Training or
your favorite workout of the week?
I guess workout of the week. I guess since we're talking about running, let's do something running related. You guys want mountains or flat?
Hey man, this is all you.
Huh?
One of each.
One of each? Oh, damn.
Wow, Brakken, you give him an inch, they take a mile. Now he's got 2 workouts of the week.
All right. For mountain, let's do something nice and well-rounded. Let's do a tempo run. So I guess charge up the hill and charge back down. Keep it simple, Sounds like it's something that's underappreciated. And then for flat, something I enjoy doing is some interval work that has, let's say, just, I don't know, I guess I'll just, let's do like 3 by 3 minutes on and then 3 minutes off. And then you rest a little bit and then you can go into some like strides, like 10 times 40 seconds on and then 40 seconds off type thing.
Nice. What about you, Brakken?
Yeah. Like it a lot.
Brakken, share yours.
Share my workout of the week?
Yeah.
All right. So coming up, I have my first workout this week that builds towards an ultra beast this fall.
Ooh, wow.
So I'm starting with the first 6 weeks are nothing but not nothing, but it's a 10K effort and paced interval work with threshold work, and then it extends to more marathon style for the last 8 weeks after, or that's going to be longer than that, 12 weeks after that. But so I'm starting out with 4 by 800 at 10K pace with 60 to 90 seconds jog recovery, and then finish. Then I get a 5-minute jog recovery break, and then 3 by, I guess they'd be threshold intervals, kind of like what Johnny said, up my biggest hill, down my biggest hill. It'll take me roughly 5 minutes to get up and down. I'll get a half duration jog recovery and repeat that 3 times. So it's like half of an interval workout and a half of a threshold climb interval combined into one. And over the summer, I'm going to build up the reps of both and the duration spent climbing.
Yeah, why don't you just go ahead and spike those on up to like 2-hour duration so you can be fat and slow come stadium time.
Well, I definitely won't be fat if I'm doing 2-hour durations.
Yeah.
So, dude, if you're drinking as much freaking pre-race nutrition or mid-race nutrition as Johnny is over here, how much?
They're at altitude. You respirate. You dehydrate just by respirating up there.
That is a whole new world to me. Like literally, if I make sure that nothing even goes in my mouth for like an hour before a race, or my stomach
Nothing goes in your mouth.
Nothing, Brakken. Not even. All right,
well, I would say start adjusting that.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even know what to do there. Like when I see people taking drinks, like at drink stations mid race, I'm like, how are you not puking the second that goes in there? And Johnny,
train it.
Yeah,
Dude, you do. Just don't eat anything. I think that's a great plan.
Right. That's how I show up to my races. That's how I make sure I don't poo in my pants. I just don't eat for the 3 days leading up to it. But Johnny, how much total like ounces of liquid did you drink?
16 plus 12 plus 12.
Yeah, that.
Oh my gosh, that's like my total liquid intake every day.
We might be highlighting an issue here, Benny.
Well,
Yeah.
I drink like a noon tablet, which is like 16 ounces, and then I drink about probably another roughly 16 ounces, and then like 1,000 smoothies throughout the day.
And you live in Texas. I feel like you need more water than that.
Maybe I should start drinking a bit more. But okay, well, mine is one that I finally have introduced stairs. I haven't done a stair workout in like 4 years or something, and finally did. I got access to a stadium out here. Actually, I got locked into the stadium because the maintenance guy was a douche. But it was just 2 minutes run, stairs, 2 minutes carry a sandbag upstairs, and then it was like an ascending ladder of that hitting like 72 minutes. So that was a ton of fun. Actually, it was mind numbing because you're just going up and down the same section of stairs over and over. But it was extremely fulfilling because it was exactly like my biggest weak point in these stadium races, and that's climbing. So that was super juicy.
That'll do.
Yeah, that'll do.
Right, we ready for some rapid fire here, Johnny?
Yeah, let's do it.
Have you heard any of the rapid fire before? Do you know what's coming?
I mean, I've heard rapid fire before in other podcasts, but I don't know. It sounds like you guys have got something unique going on.
No, not at all. But we have people that have struggled to come up with any answer whatsoever, to the point that I've had a few people message me this week and be like, you need to start sending them rapid fire questions ahead of time, because people just sit here and like, I don't know.
Well, Brakken, way to make him nervous leading into this.
Well, my point is, I feel like Johnny's intelligent enough that he'll be able to give us answers. If this doesn't work, we're going to have to start spoon speeding them.
Man, no pressure, Johnny. You better be intelligent.
All right, let's do this.
All right, we're going to start with an easy one. All right, really easy one. Favorite running shoe of all time?
Shit, you got me.
What?
I just run in so many shoes. I really like my VJs and Nike Terra Kygers. There's two.
Anything for the road?
No, roads suck.
I'm with you. Favorite OCR racer of all time? You kind of covered.
VJs, yeah.
Yep. All right. Favorite non-OCR athlete?
Favorite non-OCR athlete? Killian Jornet.
Nice, that's a good one. Favorite OCR athlete?
Ryan Atkins, Albin. Yeah, those two.
Tough to go wrong with those two. All right. Do you have a one training book that everyone should read?
I do not. I don't have any training book, to be honest. Sorry.
How about a podcast?
But I am reading. I'm reading The Uphill Athlete. And I've yet to get to the juicy part, but Killian Jornet wrote it, so it's pretty good.
Okay. What about a podcast? You one place, I guess, one source people should learn about the sport.
Obstacle Dominator.
Yeah.
There you go. Sucking up will get you places in life.
What's your favorite music, Johnny?
Favorite music? Country. Yeah, I like country. Yeah, let's go with that.
Nice. Yeah. What's your most proud athletic movement?
Probably Big Bear at the moment.
That's a good one. There's a small list of men who have won a US National Series race.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm stoked on that. It was a long time.
I'm not on that list.
You never won any US Series race?
Nope. All seconds.
Oh, well, hold on. Wait. Didn't they? I guess I was just thinking podium, but we're using that fan.
I've had multiple seconds, never a first.
Oh,
damn.
All right. Favorite food?
Pizza or tacos. Pizza.
Yeah. Favorite drink?
My smoothie that I make in the morning. It's that I make after workout. It's a banana, a bunch of honey, cinnamon, and then some vanilla protein powder and collagen, and a lot of honey and ice.
What's your liquid? You putting water?
Huh?
You putting water?
Yeah,
Almond milk? Okay, cool.
Yeah, some water or oat milk. Yeah.
What's your favorite non-athletic moment? This is always hard for people.
I guess graduating university. Doing all those freaking all-nighters.
What'd you study?
Something like that. Yeah. Graduating school. University.
What'd you study?
Exercise science.
Oh, nice. Okay, well that's helpful.
Yeah.
I think that's it. That's all I got, Brakken.
Favorite off-day activity?
Going to the movies. Cooking. Yeah, going to movies.
Dude, Johnny, please tell me you're a Marvel fan. Do you see Endgame?
Dude, I haven't seen it yet. I'm pissed.
What?
Yeah.
Braden, it was my birthday yesterday. Braden, each year for my birthday, takes me to see. Last year, he took me to see Infinity War.
Uh-huh.
Braden, Johnny's my son.
Yeah.
I don't know, he's 6. and he took me to Endgame yesterday.
You're so lucky, man. I gotta go. I'm gonna try to go this week.
I only cried once, but I teared up 7 times.
Wait, let me guess. It was.
No, you can't say
No,
it.
dude.
This is a spoiler-free podcast.
Don't do that.
Hey, man,
I managed to make it to that movie without seeing a single spoiler, and I'm not going to turn around and bite that in the feet.
Hey, do not do that. Not cool.
Right. You know what, dude? You are past the safe zone of time frame after that movie. No, I'm not going to deliberately ruin it for you.
You can't just say that and ruin it for me.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I'm saying it is no longer safe online. Like it's past the agreed point, but I'm not going to. But Brakken, did you end up being able to? You told me that you were watching you were trying to watch sequentially every Marvel movie with Braden leading up to it. Were you able to cram the rest of them in before you saw Endgame?
We ended up cutting out some of the fluff because we didn't have time, but we're going to go back and finish it off.
Fluff as in like Ant-Man?
As a father of little kids, Ant-Man is one of the better Marvel movies because it's like goofy funny and there's not this long extended talking section. Like Civil War is a great movie, but you sit there for an hour of talking and a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old don't want that. So Ant-Man plays in our house.
But for a fully developed adult, that movie sucks.
Yeah.
Are you lumping yourself in with fully developed adults?
I am. I mean, my pecs are a little underdeveloped, but I put myself right up there. But dude, Johnny, you got to go. Have you guys seen the Pikachu movie?
No.
Dude, so good. You should go see it.
Yeah, maybe I'll find a hot date to take me this week. We'll see.
That's exactly what happened to me. This chick that I had plans with, and then like the day came to actually go on a date, and neither of us texted the other one. We're like, let's not do it. And then randomly I texted her. I was like, hey, let's make last minute plans so neither of us can bail. You want to go see Pikachu right now? And she's like, OMG, my friends just bailed to go see that movie right now. Let's go. And she looks exactly like what's that redhead? Emma Stone? Is that the redhead chick actress?
Yeah.
I'm calling BS on that.
No,
if you could live and train in only one place in the world, where would you train? Where's your ideal training?
Dude, you can't do that with one place. But right now I'm pretty fascinated with Norway. There's some pretty gnarly mountains in Brazil that I'd love to train in. Switzerland, but I'd say Norway right now. That looks pretty rowdy. So
you're not helping your I'm not going after Albin case here by saying Norway.
Dude, all the stuff Killian does out there looks freaking amazing. But Scotland looks awesome too. Yeah, Glencoe area. That's just a technical, fun terrain. But the weather's. No, but I mean, I follow the skyrunning series and like just the videos of the ridge lines. I actually have a book on ridge lines in Scotland, and it looks so sick. So,
Is that on your coffee table?
It's on my dresser. Yeah, it's on my dresser. I don't have a coffee table. Yeah.
Last question I have for you. For the OCR community in general, if you could have them know one thing about you, what would it be? You feel they don't know?
I feel like not that many people know me to begin with, you know?
So give them something good to chew on.
That's the point of the question.
Yeah, I guess. Damn.
Come on, Johnny. We're on a hot date. Don't impress me.
Yeah. You're a hot date. Damn, Benny, you are killing this right now.
What do we go to right now, man? You just took me out for some fancy eggplant parm, and it's the end of the date, and you haven't impressed me yet.
Stop sucking up to Corinna already?
Hey, don't make
it. Lord, Benny.
It was the first fancy dish that came to mind, all right?
I would be willing to bet a lot. If we panned around Benny's house, we would find pictures and like an altar, some sort of like setup to Corinna Coffin.
It's kind of creepy, bro.
I bet you've stolen locks of her hair throughout the years and it's stuff in your pillow.
Sketch.
That is wildly disturbing. By the way, boom. Did I say she looks like Emma Stone, or does she look like Emma Stone?
You can't Google a picture of Emma Stone and be like, oh, look this.
It's not odd. You know what? I'll text you her Instagram profile. I screenshotted it and got rid of her name to not blast her Instagram profile. Dude, I went on one date with this chick. We're not even dating. So
yeah, and yet you're showing her face on a podcast. That's crazy.
Yeah, but she doesn't know.
All right, Johnny, we'll let you off the hook.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Oh, no. People should know that I have a really good pancake recipe.
Well, let's go.
Okay.
All right, it's you're gonna need oats. So you're gonna need oats. You're gonna need 3 tablespoons of oats. You're gonna need 2 tablespoons of tapioca starch. You're gonna need a teaspoon of baking powder, and you're gonna need a mashed banana. So then you're gonna put the oats and the tapioca starch and the baking powder in a blender, blend it all up, and then you're gonna mix the mashed banana with that. Throw in some water, and then you put it in your pan and make a pancake.
How many does that make?
That makes 2. Yeah.
What? Who makes 2 pancakes?
I do, man. I make them constantly before training, dude. It's great. And then you douse them in maple syrup. Oh, if anyone wants to send me maple syrup, please do. I love maple syrup.
Speaking of people sending you free stuff, do you have any sponsors you want to shout out to, or who's your ideal sponsor? You can snap your fingers, any brand in the world who's sponsoring you.
Probably Solomon. Yeah, they make sweet skis and running shoes. They're pretty rad. I mean, DynaFit looks like they make pretty legit stuff too, but I haven't tried the running shoes, so it's hard to say. Something that, I don't know, some sponsor that makes mountain gear and running gear, that'd be ideal. Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have any current sponsors you want to shout out, or where can people find you online?
Instagram, just Johnny Luna Lima. And then, yeah, VJ, thanks for all the shoes. You guys make really good shoes, and they keep me safe during my mountain scrambles, which is great. Yeah, those shoes grip really well, actually. Like, I actually do some, like, easy climbing in them. It's, like, steep, but, yeah, they grip really well. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Well, Johnny, Brakken, you have any more questions for Johnny man here?
No, can you right now book us in for your first interview post Tahoe if you make podium?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I can book you guys in
from the Athlete Village.
All right. Yeah. No, that'd be fun, dude. But
right,
first, let's get to Tahoe one day at a time.
That's right. So I like I said, I'm ultra prepping, and you know, obviously, I'm going to prep for West Virginia as well. So I'm going to be coming out to Colorado once every like 4 or 5 weeks. So if I'm out there, I'm going to give you a call. We can
dude.
Teach me how to run some downhills.
Let's run some mountains, dude.
Wait, hold on, Johnny. What's your incline time? The incline in Colorado Springs.
I haven't done it yet, but I definitely want to go out. I'll see. I don't know when. I'll probably go out before Tahoe.
All right, I did it in 2035. Tell me if you can beat that.
You did it in 2035?
No.
And his girlfriend looks like Emma Stone.
That's a bunch of hogwash. You did not do it in 2035.
No, I did it in like 20. I can't remember if it was high 24s or high 25s. It's one of those.
I think you can remember that it was 27s.
You know what? Actually, now that you're saying that, I might think it's high 26s. I'm not sure anymore. It's been so long.
First time I heard the story was 27s.
Was it 27s?
Yeah.
I gotta ask Jack. I don't know. Jack always remembers everything that we do. All right.
We'll have an update on the next podcast.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right,
Thanks
Johnny.
for coming on, Johnny, and congrats again on the big breakout race.
Thank you, guys. This was fun. Do it again.
Yeah, good luck in Utah.
Thank you.
Visit obstacledominator.com for show notes, training, and racing resources. And leave your question for Beni and Brakken.